Evening, folks. Hope everyone is well. This is the MicroFreak from Arturia. This is the new limited edition. Is this a limited edition? Does it tell me what edition it is? The Stellar edition or something. I forget which. I'll write a note. This came out quite recently, and I think is just basically visually it's slightly different from the first or the original MicroFreak. I think it's got the most recent firmware. Hang on, let me just put it off. Let me just put it on again. MicroFreak, booting up firmware 4.8, was that? It said it really quickly, but it's going to be, probably, if not the most recent, a recent firmware update. This is a polyphonic synth, digital with some analog filters, digital voices, analog filters. Sort of similar to the Brains in some ways. There's some DNA going back to musical instruments sort of code in here. But obviously the most striking thing with the MicroFreak is this crazy sort of capacitance keyboard. Right. So you've maybe seen these online, or you've seen these at gigs. Yeah, and that's a pretty interesting sort of interface, compared to sort of traditional keys. The question that we're going to answer in this video is how good is it as just a controller? So what I've actually got going on is the MIDI control is via these kind of cables, and Arturia give you two of these, one for MIDI in, one for MIDI out. Happy days. This is going into my little modular rig here, and then the control voltage and the trigger are going into the Model D. That's just here. There we go. Lovely old Model D. So the question is, how does the Model D sound playing it through this capacited keyboard? And really good. It's really good. We are going into the board. We have got lexicon, we got some tape delay, and we've got some reverb. And I mean, it's because I'm a bit limited for space, and also because this is very light, we can play it one-handed, but it's a surprisingly good keyboard. If I can play in some kind of key. Just evidence that we are actually playing. Let's change the sound up a little bit on the D. What key am I in? No idea. Now, with control voltage, we're sort of limited by what we can do with some of these controls. Octave up works. Octave down. What I notice is the lights of the octave are not kind of, they don't toggle between sort of two different colours. So just something to be aware of. Glide won't do anything, because obviously all we're doing is we're just sending, we're just converting the MIDI to control voltage. So it's the geekiest and dorkiest way of controlling the Model D. Obviously now the question is, you know, just if I transmit just using MIDI, can we get some more kind of expression based on the amount of skin basically that is touching the keys? Not sure about that. So let's do a direct MIDI connection with the Model D. But yeah, but straight off, surprisingly good keyboard. I'll just put it on my knees just for 2 minutes so I can give you a two-handed demo. So if you're a sort of keyboard player, and obviously I'm not, and you're thinking, well, I've looked at these, but I don't think I'll get on with it, you might surprise yourself. It's actually a lot easier to play than I originally thought. That was my first impression was that this was, you know, more than just a gimmick. That was like a really nice way of interacting with the synth. Those are my first impressions. Let's do a MIDI hookup. Okay, so we did a direct MIDI hookup, still using the little cable, but that's going directly into the Model D. Let's just show you that. There we go. There's the cable. Changing the MIDI channel on this was super easy. What did I go? I went utility, and then you use the preset button here, and you go MIDI, and then the preset button's also a pokey button, and you've got input channel, output channel. So that's nice. So you can have input and output channels sent on different channels. Apparently, that's cool. And then I think utility again, just to quit out. Now, octave works, but as you're hopefully hearing. As you're hopefully hearing, there's a huge amount of portamento, which is weird because the glide is all the way off. But I'm still getting portamento, and the Model D doesn't have portamento. I mean, I'm looking at it, and I mean, it's... Yeah, I mean, possibly it's the filter envelopes I've got going on. I don't think so though. So obviously, hooking up via MIDI versus control voltage, there's slightly different effects. For playing the Model D. So, I mean, you know, there's obviously a lot of other controls here. So, but then as far as I know, the Model D, you know, none of these parameters on the D are controllable through MIDI. Other than just, you know, the actual MIDI cable itself. So that's confusing. Pitch bend works a treat. And again, the pitch bend is a capacitance strip. Very sensitive. What else useful can I tell you? I mean, I'm still exploring this guy, but I don't think if we change the envelope, that's going to affect the Model D. So that's my attack, and obviously. So also hold, which will that will cause the MicroFreak just to hold a note. That obviously doesn't work over MIDI either. But you know, perfectly good and functional controller for playing like an analog mono synth. Now, the amount of skin I put on doesn't have an effect. But then we know that the Model D, you know, is not set up for MP, polyphonic MIDI, you know, blah, 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 MPE, MIDI polyphonic expression. Now I have got Surge VST, which does have some MPE patches, so it'd be interesting to play this with Surge. That's for another video. But yeah, I mean, we can wrap this up. Now this also has control voltage out, so I can go directly into the Model D or the Pro one, you know, through this control voltage. Also has clock in and out, so I can clock it to a drum machine. Very cool. CV, so that's interesting. So it's CV gate out. Okay, so it's not gate in, so we can't have it so it won't receive say control voltage, so I couldn't use, you know, my sequencer, but I could use this as a controller to play, say, a modular synth. But yeah, so there we go. MicroFreak. A surprisingly good controller. I would like to sort out the portamento issue. Well, there's also, looks like there's a lower limit as well on the octave, which is there. Obviously, we can set the synth lower. All right, let's call it a day. Thank you. If you're new here, by the way, you are very welcome. This is what we do. We just play with stuff. All right. Bye.